Lisa pressed her face against the cold window glass, watching the yellow taxi crawl down the busy street below. Her heart was beating fast with excitement and worry. Today was the day her new roommate would arrive. The housing office had told her very little about the girl who would be sharing her small apartment in downtown Seattle. "She's from Japan," the woman at the office had said, shuffling through papers on her messy desk. "Very quiet, comes from a small village. Her English isn't perfect, but she's a good student." That was 3 weeks ago. Since then, Lisa had cleaned her spare bedroom, bought extra towels, and wondered what her new roommate would be like. She had never lived with someone from another country before. Would they get along? Would there be awkward moments? Would they become friends or just polite strangers sharing the same space? The taxi stopped right in front of her building. Lisa watched as the driver got out and opened the trunk. A small figure stepped out of the back seat, moving slowly and carefully. The girl looked even younger than Lisa had expected. She was tiny, maybe 5 feet tall, with long black hair tied back in a simple ponytail. She wore a faded blue dress that looked like it had been sewn by hand, and her brown shoes were clean, but clearly old. Lisa's first thought was how lost the girl looked. She stood on the sidewalk, holding a worn backpack close to her chest, staring up at the tall apartment building like it was a mountain she had to climb. Cars honked and rushed past her, but she didn't seem to notice. She just kept looking up at all those windows and floors. The taxi driver handed her a small suitcase and said something Lisa couldn't hear from her window on the 4th floor. The girl bowed deeply to him, which made Lisa smile. Then, the taxi drove away, leaving her standing alone on the busy street. Lisa grabbed her keys and rushed down the stairs, taking them 2 at a time. She didn't want her new roommate to feel abandoned or scared on her first day in America. When she pushed open the heavy glass door of the building, the girl was still standing in the same spot. "Looking uncertain, Keiko?" Lisa called out, hoping she was saying the name right. The girl's eyes widened, and she bowed so deeply that Lisa worried she might fall over. Yes, she said in careful English. "I'm Keiko." "You're Lisa." "That's me." Lisa smiled and reached for the suitcase. "Let me help you with this. Welcome to Seattle." Keiko looked surprised when Lisa took her bag, as if she wasn't used to people helping her. She followed Lisa through the lobby, her eyes taking in everything: the mailboxes, the old carpet, the elevator buttons. When the elevator doors opened with a loud ding, Keiko jumped a little. "First time in an elevator?" Lisa asked gently. Keiko nodded, then seemed embarrassed by her reaction. "In my village, no tall buildings," she explained, her hands moving as she spoke, trying to help her words along. As they rode up to the 4th floor, Lisa noticed how Keiko stood perfectly still, her back straight and her hands folded in front of her. There was something graceful about the way she moved, like every gesture had been practiced and perfected. The apartment felt different with another person in it. Lisa had lived alone for 2 years, and she was used to the silence and the freedom to do whatever she wanted. Now, watching Keiko carefully remove her shoes at the door without being asked, Lisa realized how many little habits and customs she had never thought about before. "This is the living room," Lisa said, giving her the tour. "Kitchen's over there. That's the bathroom. And this," she opened the door to the spare bedroom, "is your room." Keiko stepped inside and stopped. Her eyes filled with tears, and for a moment Lisa panicked, thinking something was wrong. But then Keiko bowed again and said, "Beautiful. Very beautiful. Thank you." The room was simple. Just a bed, a desk, a small closet, and one window that looked out over the alley behind the building. Lisa had always thought it was the least interesting room in the apartment, but seeing it through Keiko's eyes, she realized it probably looked like luxury to someone who had grown up in a tiny village. Keiko set her backpack down carefully on the bed and looked around again. I have money," she said suddenly, as if she was worried Lisa might change her mind about letting her stay. "For rent, for food. I'm not, how do you say, free person. A freeloader," Lisa said with a laugh. "And don't worry about it. We'll figure everything out. That evening, Lisa made pasta for dinner. Nothing fancy, just spaghetti with tomato sauce. But Keiko acted like it was a feast. She ate slowly, trying to copy the way Lisa twirled the pasta around her fork. When she couldn't get it right, she laughed at herself, covering her mouth with her hand. In Japan, we make noise when we eat noodles, Keiko explained. It's okay to make slurping sound. But here is different. Yes, Lisa nodded. Different, but your way sounds more fun. After dinner, they sat on the couch and tried to talk. Keiko's English was better than Lisa had expected, but there were long pauses while she searched for words. She told Lisa about her grandmother, who had raised her after her parents died in a car accident when she was very young. She talked about her village, where everyone knew everyone else, where the day started with sunrise and ended with sunset. No streetlights, she said, looking out the window at the busy city below. No cars making noise all night. Very quiet, very peaceful. Lisa found herself fascinated by this different way of living. She had grown up in suburbs and cities, always surrounded by noise and lights and activity. The idea of a place where people lived simply, where they went to bed when it got dark and woke up when the sun rose, sounded almost magical. Around 10 o'clock, Lisa started yawning. I think I'm going to get ready for bed, she said. You must be tired too, after traveling so far. Keiko nodded, but she looked confused. Lisa showed her where the extra towels were, where she could find anything she might need during the night. Then she went to her own room to change into her favorite pajamas, soft cotton pants and a matching top with tiny flowers printed on them. When she came out to brush her teeth, she noticed that Keiko's door was closed. Lisa could hear her moving around, probably unpacking her few belongings. She finished her nighttime routine and was heading back to her room when she heard a soft knock on her door. Lisa? Keiko's voice was uncertain. I am sorry to bother you. But Lisa opened her door and found Keiko still wearing the same blue dress from earlier. She looked uncomfortable and a little embarrassed. Is there something wrong? Lisa asked. Keiko looked down at her hands. I do not know. How do you sleep here? In America. The question puzzled Lisa at first. How do you sleep? You lie down, close your eyes, and sleep. But looking at Keiko's confused face, she realized the question was about something else entirely. What do you mean? Lisa asked gently. Keiko's cheeks turned pink. You change clothes for sleeping. I see you wear different clothes now, but I do not have special clothes for sleep. In my village, we sleep in day clothes, or... She trailed off, looking more embarrassed. Lisa felt her heart squeeze with understanding and sympathy. Of course, pajamas weren't universal. In a place where people had very little, why would you own clothes that you only wore for a few hours each night? Oh, Keiko. Lisa said softly, you don't have to change clothes to sleep. You can sleep in whatever makes you comfortable. But Keiko still looked uncertain. Shifting from foot to foot in the hallway, Lisa could see that she wanted to do the right thing, to fit in with American customs, but she didn't know how. Lisa had an idea. She went to her dresser and pulled out an oversized white cotton shirt, one she had bought years ago and barely wore because it was too big. It was soft and comfortable, perfect for sleeping. Here, she said, offering it to Keiko. You can borrow this tonight. It's very comfortable for sleeping. Keiko's eyes lit up with relief and gratitude. She took the shirt carefully, holding it like it was made of silk instead of simple cotton. Thank you, she whispered. You are very kind. That night, as Lisa lay in her own bed, she could hear Keiko moving around quietly in the next room, getting settled. She found herself smiling in the darkness, thinking about how many things she took for granted. Having different clothes for different times of day, knowing the unspoken rules of how to live in her own culture. But she also felt happy. There was something special about helping someone feel at home, about sharing something as simple as a comfortable shirt. Maybe having a roommate from so far away wouldn't be complicated after all. Maybe it would be wonderful. The next morning, Lisa woke up to the smell of something delicious cooking in her kitchen. For a moment, she forgot about her new roommate and wondered if she was dreaming. But when she shuffled to the kitchen in her slippers, she found Keiko standing at the stove, carefully stirring something in a small pot. "Good morning," Keiko said with a bright smile. "I hope you do not mind. I make rice for breakfast." Lisa had never eaten rice for breakfast in her life, but the smell was amazing. Keiko had somehow made the simple white rice smell like it belonged in a fancy restaurant. She served it into bowls with a small dish of what looked like pickled vegetables on the side. "This is how we eat in my village," Keiko explained, sitting down at Lisa's small dining table. "Rice gives energy for the day." Lisa took a bite and was surprised at how satisfying it was. The rice was perfectly cooked, each grain separate and fluffy. The pickled vegetables added a tangy crunch that woke up her taste buds. "Where did you get these vegetables?" Lisa asked. Keiko looked a little embarrassed. "I bring from Japan. My grandmother, she packed them for me. She say American food will make me sick if I do not have something from home." Over the next few days, Lisa began to notice more and more differences between her world and Keiko's. When Lisa offered to take Keiko shopping for clothes, Keiko politely refused, saying she had everything she needed. But Lisa could see that everything meant 3 dresses, 1 pair of shoes, and a few pieces of underwear. "Don't you want more clothes?" Lisa asked one afternoon as they sat in the living room. "I mean, what if something gets dirty? What if you want to wear something different?" Keiko looked confused by the question. "Why would I need more? These are good dresses. They wash clean. They keep me warm," and she searched for the word. "Covered." Lisa tried to explain about having different outfits for different occasions, about having choices, about expressing yourself through what you wear. But Keiko just smiled politely and nodded, the way people do when they're trying to be nice about something they don't understand. The pajama situation became more obvious as the days went by. Every night, Keiko would ask to borrow a shirt from Lisa. She never took one without asking, and she always returned it clean and carefully folded the next morning. Lisa had offered to buy her some pajamas of her own, but Keiko always shook her head. "You are too kind already," she would say. "I do not need special clothes just for sleeping." Lisa decided to show her what she meant. She opened her dresser drawer and pulled out her collection of pajamas, cotton sets, silk nightgowns, cozy flannel pants, and soft t-shirts. "Look," Lisa said, spreading them out on her bed. "These are all for sleeping, different ones for different seasons, different moods." Keiko examined each piece carefully, running her fingers over the soft fabrics. Her eyes were wide with wonder, but also with something that looked like worry. "So many," she whispered, "so many clothes just for sleep. But why, when you sleep, no one sees you? Why do you need beautiful clothes when no one can see?" The question stopped Lisa in her tracks. Why did she need 17 different sets of pajamas? Why did she have silk nightgowns that made her feel fancy even when she was alone? Why did she own cozy flannel sets for winter and light cotton ones for summer? I guess because they make me feel comfortable," Lisa said slowly, "and because it's nice to have choices." Keiko nodded thoughtfully, but Lisa could see she still didn't really understand. To Keiko, who had grown up with so little, the idea of having multiple sets of clothes for sleeping seemed wasteful, maybe even silly. That night, as usual, Keiko knocked softly on Lisa's door and asked to borrow a shirt. This time, Lisa gave her a light blue one with tiny white stars printed on it. Keiko held it up to the light from the hallway, admiring the pattern. "Very pretty," she said. "Like night sky in my village. We have so many stars there. Here in city, I cannot see them." Lisa realized that Keiko wasn't just borrowing clothes. She was borrowing little pieces of comfort, tiny connections to beauty and softness that reminded her of home in ways Lisa had never thought about. The next evening, Lisa found Keiko sitting by the window, looking out at the city lights. She was still wearing her day dress, but she looked tired and a little sad. "Are you okay?" Lisa asked, sitting down beside her. Keiko was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "In my village, when sun goes down, everything becomes quiet. We light Candles or small lamps, we prepare for sleep slowly, peacefully. Here, everything is always bright, always moving. I do not know when it is time to rest. Lisa looked out at the neon signs, the street lights, the windows glowing in apartment buildings across the street. She had never thought about how overwhelming it might be for someone who came from a place where nighttime actually meant darkness. "Would you like me to get you some blackout curtains?" Lisa offered. "They block out the light from outside." Keiko's face lit up. "That would be very helpful." "Thank you." But Lisa had another idea too. That weekend, she took Keiko to a small park outside the city where the lights weren't so bright. They spread a blanket on the grass and lay down, looking up at the sky. It took a while for their eyes to adjust, but slowly, a few stars became visible. Keiko pointed up at them with excitement. "There, I can see them." She was quiet for a moment, then said, "In my village, grandmother and I would sit outside before bed. She would tell me stories about the stars, about which ones were which. It was peaceful time." Lisa felt something shift in her understanding. She had been thinking about Keiko's needs in terms of things, clothes, curtains, furniture, but what Keiko really needed was peace, ritual, a sense of connection to something familiar. When they got home that night, Lisa had an idea. Instead of just handing Keiko a shirt to borrow, she invited her to sit in the living room first. She made them both cups of herbal tea, turned off the bright overhead lights, and lit a few small candles. "This is nice," Keiko said, settling into the soft couch cushions. "Like evening time in my village." They sat together in the gentle candlelight, sipping their tea and talking quietly about their days. There was something magical about this slower transition from day to night, from activity to rest. When Keiko finally asked for a shirt to sleep in, it felt different somehow. Not like borrowing something out of necessity, but like the natural end to a peaceful evening routine. As Lisa handed her a soft green cotton shirt, she realized that Keiko had been teaching her something important without even trying. Maybe having fewer things, but appreciating them more, wasn't such a strange idea after all. 3 weeks into their new living arrangement, Lisa started looking forward to their evening tea ritual. What had begun as a simple way to help Keiko feel more comfortable had become the best part of both their days. Every evening around 9 o'clock, Lisa would dim the lights and put the kettle on while Keiko cleared away any books or papers from the coffee table. They had fallen into this routine without really planning it. Lisa would choose two mugs from her collection. She had discovered she owned far more mugs than any reasonable person needed, and Keiko would select which tea they would drink. Keiko had brought a small collection of Japanese teas with her, and she was slowly teaching Lisa about the different flavors and when to drink each one. "This one is for peaceful sleep," Keiko would say, holding up a small packet. "This one helps with digestion after big meal. This one is for when you feel worried or nervous." Lisa had never thought of tea as medicine before, but she was starting to understand that for Keiko, everything had a purpose, a proper time and place. There was wisdom in this way of thinking that Lisa found both calming and fascinating. The shirt borrowing had evolved too. What had started as an awkward request born out of necessity had become a sweet nightly tradition. After their tea and quiet conversation, Keiko would stand up and stretch, signaling that she was ready for bed. "May I borrow a sleeping shirt tonight?" she would ask, and Lisa would always say yes. But now Lisa found herself thinking about which shirt to offer. If Keiko seemed homesick, Lisa might choose the blue one with stars that reminded her of her village sky. If it had been a stressful day, she picked the softest, most comfortable one she owned. If Keiko had been excited about something, Lisa might choose one with a cheerful color or pattern. Lisa started to realize that her shirts were becoming a way to take care of Keiko, to show her that someone was paying attention to how she felt and what she might need. And Keiko, in her careful way, always treated each borrowed shirt like a gift. Every morning, the shirt would be folded perfectly and placed on Lisa's dresser. Sometimes Keiko would hang it by the window to catch fresh air, or if it was a particularly nice day, She might lay it flat in a sunny spot to warm up before returning it. "You take such good care of my clothes," Lisa mentioned one morning, watching Keiko smooth out every wrinkle before folding a lavender cotton shirt. Keiko looked surprised. "Of course, when someone shares with you, you must honor their kindness. In my village, my grandmother always say, 'How you treat borrowed things shows who you are inside.'" Lisa thought about all the times she had borrowed things from friends, clothes, books, movies, and returned them carelessly, sometimes forgetting she even had them. She had never thought of borrowing as a responsibility, a chance to show respect and gratitude. One evening, as they sat with their tea, Keiko seemed more thoughtful than usual. She kept glancing at Lisa, as if she wanted to say something but wasn't sure how. "What is it?" Lisa asked gently. Keiko set down her cup carefully. "I have a question, but I do not want to seem ungrateful." "You could never seem ungrateful," Lisa said. "Ask me anything." Keiko took a deep breath. "Why do you have so many clothes for sleeping?" "I count them when you show me your drawer. 17 different sets in my village. Some families do not have 17 pieces of clothing for all purposes." Together, the question didn't sound judgmental, just genuinely curious. Lisa had been thinking about this herself lately, especially as she watched Keiko find such contentment in borrowing just one shirt each night. "I guess I never really thought about it," Lisa admitted. "When I see something pretty or comfortable in a store, I buy it. I like having choices. I like feeling cozy and nice. Even when I'm just sleeping." Keiko nodded slowly. "In my village, we have saying, 'Too many choices make the heart confused.' When you have everything, nothing feels special." Lisa felt a little defensive at first. There was nothing wrong with having nice things, was there? But as she looked around her apartment, at her overflowing closets, her kitchen cabinets packed with appliances she rarely used, her shelves full of books she'd never read again, she started to see what Keiko meant. "But don't you ever want more?" Lisa asked. "Don't you ever see something beautiful and wish you could have it?" Keiko smiled. "Of course. I am human. But my grandmother taught me to ask, 'Do I need this thing, or do I just want it? Will having this thing make my life better, or just more complicated?' Most times, the answer is that I just want it, and I do not really need it." That night, when Keiko asked to borrow a shirt, Lisa found herself really looking at her collection for the first time. She had pajamas with tags still on them, sets she'd bought and never worn, nightgowns that seemed too fancy for actual sleeping. She pulled out a simple white cotton shirt, one of her favorites, and handed it to Keiko. "This one is really comfortable," Lisa said. "I've had it for years." Keiko accepted it with her usual care, but then she paused. "Lisa, may I tell you something?" "Of course. When I borrow your shirts, I do not think about the 17 other choices. I only think about this one shirt, how soft it feels, how kind you are to share it with me. It makes me feel cared for, like I am part of a family again." Lisa felt tears prick her eyes. She had been thinking of the shirt borrowing as Keiko needing something she didn't have. But Keiko saw it as something much deeper, a nightly reminder that she wasn't alone, that someone cared enough to share their comfort with her. The next day, Lisa did something she had never done before. She went through her pajama collection and picked out the pieces she actually wore and loved. The rest, more than half of her collection, she carefully folded and put in a donation bag. It felt strange at first, letting go of all those choices, but also surprisingly freeing. That evening, when Keiko asked to borrow a shirt, Lisa opened her now much smaller pajama drawer and pulled out the same white cotton shirt from the night before. "Would you like to borrow this one again?" Lisa asked. Since you said it was comfortable, Keiko's face lit up with surprise and pleasure. "You will let me borrow the same shirt tonight? Are you sure?" "I'm sure," Lisa said, and she realized she meant it as Keiko carefully took the shirt. Lisa understood that she had learned something valuable. Having fewer things didn't mean having less. Sometimes it meant appreciating more. Sometimes the most special thing about an object wasn't that you owned it, but that someone chose to share it with you that night. As Lisa got ready for bed in her own simple cotton pajamas, she felt more content than she had in a long time. Her dresser drawer looked almost empty compared to before, but somehow that felt exactly right. 2 months had passed since Keiko moved in, and their friendship had grown deeper than Lisa ever expected. What started as polite roommate interactions had become something that felt like family. They had their inside jokes now, their shared routines, and a comfortable rhythm to their days that made Lisa wonder how she had ever lived alone. But it was during their 3rd month together that Lisa truly understood how much Keiko had changed. Her life had started on a rainy Thursday evening. Lisa had come home from work feeling frustrated and overwhelmed. Her boss had criticized a project she'd worked on for weeks. Her train had been delayed, and she'd forgotten her umbrella and gotten soaked walking from the station. When she walked into the apartment, dripping wet and grumpy, she found Keiko in the kitchen, quietly preparing dinner. The smell of something warm and comforting filled the air. "Bad day?" Keiko asked, taking one look at Lisa's face. "The worst," Lisa said, dropping her bag and slumping against the counter. "Everything went wrong. I feel like nothing I do is good enough." Keiko nodded sympathetically. "Change into dry clothes. I make soup that my grandmother always made when I feel sad. It helps the heart feel better." Lisa usually would have ordered takeout on a day like this, probably eaten it while scrolling through her phone and feeling sorry for herself. But Keiko's gentle concern made her pause. She went to her room, changed into comfortable clothes, and came back to find Keiko ladling a steaming bowl of miso soup filled with vegetables and soft tofu. "Sit," Keiko said, placing the bowl in front of Lisa. "Tell me about your day." As Lisa ate the warm, soothing soup, she found herself sharing things she rarely talked about with anyone. Her worries about her job, her fears that she wasn't smart enough or talented enough, her feeling that everyone else seemed to have life figured out while she was just pretending. Keiko listened without interrupting, occasionally nodding or making small sounds of understanding. When Lisa finished talking, Keiko was quiet for a moment. "In my village," Keiko said slowly, "my grandmother always tell me that difficult days are like storms. They feel very big and scary when you are inside them, but they always pass, and after storm, the air is cleaner and the world looks fresh again." Lisa felt some of the tension leave her shoulders. "Your grandmother sounds very wise." "She is. She also say that when you help someone else feel better, your own heart becomes lighter too." Keiko paused, then added quietly, "You help me feel better every day, Lisa. When you share your shirts with me, when you make tea with me, when you listen to my stories about home. Maybe tonight I can help you feel better too." That evening, their tea ritual felt different. Instead of their usual light conversation, they sat in comfortable silence, just being present with each other. When it came time for Keiko to ask for a shirt, she hesitated. "Lisa," she said, "tonight, would you like to choose which shirt I borrow? Sometimes it is nice when someone else makes the choice for you." Lisa was touched by the gesture. She went to her drawer and selected a soft gray shirt with tiny silver stars, one that always made her feel calm and peaceful. As she handed it to Keiko, she realized that giving had become just as meaningful as receiving. The next few weeks brought more moments like this. When Keiko had trouble with her English homework, Lisa would sit with her at the kitchen table, patiently helping her practice pronunciation. When Lisa felt overwhelmed by choices at the grocery store, Keiko would gently guide her towards simple, good ingredients and suggest easy meals they could cook together. They were taking care of each other in ways that went far beyond sharing clothes or splitting bills. They were sharing burdens, joys, and the simple comfort of knowing someone cared. One evening, as they sat drinking tea, Keiko pulled out a small wrapped package. "What's this?" Lisa asked. "I make something for you," Keiko said, looking shy. "To say thank you for being so kind to me." Lisa unwrapped the package carefully. Inside was a small, beautifully embroidered handkerchief. The stitches were tiny and perfect, creating a pattern of delicate flowers in soft blue and white thread. "Keiko, this is gorgeous," Lisa whispered, running her fingers over the intricate work. "You made this yourself?" Keiko nodded. "My grandmother. Teach me when I was small girl. I work on it during the day, when you are at your job. I think about how you share your comfort with me every night, and I want to give you something that shows my gratitude." Lisa felt tears in her eyes. She had never received the gift that someone had made with their own hands, putting time and care into every stitch. It was more precious than anything she could have bought in a store. "But I don't do anything special," Lisa protested. "I just lend you a shirt each night." Keiko shook her head firmly. "You do much more than that. You make me feel welcome. You make me feel like I belong somewhere. You share not just your things, but your kindness, your patience, your friendship in my village. We say that kindness is like seeds. When you plant them, they grow into something beautiful." That night, as Lisa got ready for bed, she placed the handkerchief carefully in her top drawer, next to her most treasured possessions. When Keiko asked to borrow a shirt, Lisa chose her favorite one, the soft white cotton shirt from that very first night. "This one is special," Lisa said as she handed it over. "It's the first one I ever shared with you." Keiko's eyes sparkled with understanding. "Then it is the beginning of our friendship." As Lisa lay in bed that night, she thought about how much her life had changed. Before Keiko, she had focused so much on accumulating things, clothes, gadgets, experiences, thinking that having more would make her happier. But living with Keiko had taught her that true contentment came from something much simpler. The knowledge that someone cared about you, and that you had someone to care about in return. The borrowed shirts had become a symbol of something bigger: trust, generosity, and the quiet joy of sharing life with another person. Lisa realized that she had gained far more than she had given, and that sometimes the most valuable things in life couldn't be bought or owned, only shared. 9 months had passed since that first night when Keiko stood confused in the hallway, not knowing how to sleep in America. Now, as spring turned to summer, their apartment felt like a true home filled with the warmth of deep friendship. But change was coming, and both women could feel it in the air. Keiko's English had improved dramatically. She no longer struggled to find words during their evening conversations, and she had started making friends in her classes at the community college. She had even gotten a part-time job at a small Japanese restaurant downtown, where the owner appreciated her authentic knowledge of traditional cooking. Lisa was proud of how far Keiko had come, but she also felt a growing sadness that she tried to hide. She knew that eventually, Keiko would be ready to move on, to start her own independent life in America. The thought of losing their nightly rituals, their quiet companionship, and yes, even their shirt-sharing tradition, made Lisa's heart ache. The conversation she had been dreading came on a warm evening in June. They were sitting in their usual spots, sipping jasmine tea and watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink through their window. "Lisa," Keiko said quietly, "I need to tell you something." Lisa's stomach dropped, but she tried to keep her voice steady. "What is it?" "The restaurant owner, Mr. Tanaka. He offered me full-time job. Good job, with benefits and everything." And she paused, looking down at her hands. "I have been saving money. I think maybe it is time for me to find my own place." Lisa felt tears threaten, but she forced herself to smile. "Keiko, that's wonderful. You've worked so hard for this. I'm so proud of you." But Keiko could see through her forced cheerfulness. "You are sad," she said gently. "I am sad too. I do not want to leave you, but I think it is time for me to try living on my own, to see if I can be independent here." Lisa nodded, understanding even as her heart broke a little. "You're right. You're ready for this, and I'm going to miss you terribly." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, both processing this new reality. Finally, Keiko spoke again. "I have one request," she said. "For my last weeks here, may I still borrow your shirts for sleeping? I know it might seem silly, but it's not silly at all." Lisa said quickly, "Of course you can, for as long as you want, over the next 3 weeks." As Keiko looked for apartments and prepared to move, their evening routine became even more precious. They both seemed to savor each moment, knowing that soon their lives would be different. Lisa helped Keiko shop for her own furniture and household items. It was strange, teaching her about things like choosing sheets and buying kitchen supplies, when just months ago Keiko hadn't understood the concept of pajamas. "Do you want me to help you pick out some pajamas?" Lisa asked one day as they walked through a department store. Now that you'll have your own place, Keiko considered this. "Seriously, maybe," she said. "But I think I still prefer borrowed shirts. They feel more connected to friendship." Lisa's heart squeezed with affection. Even as Keiko grew more independent, she still valued the simple things that brought people together. The night before Keiko's move, they had their final tea ceremony as roommates. The apartment was full of boxes, and Keiko's room looked empty and sad without her few belongings scattered around. "I have something for you," Lisa said, disappearing into her bedroom. She came back with a carefully wrapped package. Keiko opened it slowly, and her eyes filled with tears. Inside was the soft white cotton shirt, the very first one Lisa had ever lent her, the one that had started their whole tradition. "I want you to have it," Lisa said. "Not to borrow anymore, but to keep, so you'll always remember that you have a friend who cares about you, even when we're not living in the same place." Keiko hugged the shirt to her chest, and when she looked up, tears were streaming down her face. "I cannot accept this. It is too precious." "It's not too precious," Lisa said firmly. "It's exactly precious enough." Friends share their most important things with each other. Keiko was quiet for a long moment. Then she went to her own packed bags and pulled out the beautiful embroidered handkerchief she had made months ago. "Then you must keep this," she said, pressing it into Lisa's hands. "And every time you see it, remember that kindness creates more kindness, and friendship makes us all richer." They spent their last evening together sitting on the couch, no longer needing many words. They had learned to be comfortable in each other's silence, to find peace in simple presence. When it came time for bed, Keiko didn't ask to borrow a shirt. Instead, she changed into the white cotton shirt that was now her own, and came back to give Lisa one final hug. "Thank you," she whispered, "for teaching me that home is not a place, but a feeling, for showing me that generosity makes both people richer, for being my first real friend in America." "Thank you," Lisa whispered back, "for teaching me that having less can mean feeling more, for showing me what real gratitude looks like, for helping me understand that the best things in life are shared, not owned." 3 months later, Lisa received a package in the mail. Inside was a photo of Keiko in her new apartment, wearing the white cotton shirt and smiling brightly. With it was a note: "Dear Lisa, I am doing well in my new home. I have made more friends, and my job is going wonderfully. But every night when I put on our shirt, I remember the comfort of knowing someone cares about me. I have started a new tradition. Once a week, I invite a friend over for tea and quiet conversation. The way you taught me, kindness grows when it is shared. I hope you are finding ways to share yours too. Love, Keiko." Lisa smiled as she folded the letter carefully and placed it next to the embroidered handkerchief in her drawer. Keiko was right. Kindness did grow when it was shared. Their friendship had taught Lisa that the most meaningful connections come not from grand gestures, but from simple, daily acts of caring. She had gotten a new roommate the month before, a shy girl from Mexico who was also learning to navigate life in a new country. And yes, Lisa had already offered to share her shirts if needed. After all, she had learned that some traditions are too beautiful to end. They just grow and spread, touching new lives and creating new connections, one borrowed shirt at a time. The white cotton shirt lived on in Keiko's new apartment, carrying with it the memory of two women who discovered that home isn't about the place you live or the things you own. Home is about the people who choose to share their comfort with you, and the knowledge that somewhere in the world, someone is thinking of you with love. And sometimes, that love comes wrapped in something as simple as a borrowed shirt, given freely and received with gratitude, creating bonds that last long after the fabric wears thin.